It's currently 8:24 p.m. I'm currently working on the marker tray sort polystyrene ball drawing project. That's what I've been doing periodically since about somewhere between 3 to 4 p.m. I first did these circles using these Sharpie markers in order to create a visual of my current interpretation of the color wheel. Then I made this bar and did some blending with these Sharpie markers in order to show to myself that the three hues of gray I have in my marker tray currently are between black and white. What I'm working on currently is using this Sharpie marker to do some coloring for the cloud I outlined yesterday or the other day in order to bring the cloud closer to what an actual cloud is like. Most clouds based on my experience, when viewing the sky and from searching clouds on Google Images, off my phone, have at least some gray to them. Clouds don't seem to be completely white. Like I've done for past polystyrene drawing projects. And I realize now that I've been mispronouncing the word polystyrene for at least a year. But I'll try to remember that it's pronounced polystyrene from here on out. I recall waking up for today. Somewhere between 11 and 11:30 in the morning. After falling asleep for today, around 6:45 in the morning. 5 in the morning at the latest. Around 2 p.m., after getting up for today, around 1:30, oh, 1:45 p.m., around 2 p.m., I had two cold cut sandwiches. Two sandwiches that had that consisted of some bread, most likely refined bread, that my dad got from a previous trip to Wegmans. And the sandwiches had meat, cheese, and some mayo, according to my recollection. Yeah, from my recollection, I recall that the kind of meat used was either it was some kind of ham and some kind of either provolone or some mild mozzarella. Then around 5 p.m., after having a mild cheddar cheese stick, with the 2 sandwiches I had with my first cup of plain coffee. And my dad made both the coffee and the sandwiches for me in the morning while I was asleep today. Around 5 p.m., I had what was left of a bag of Wegmans generic bag of wavy plain potato chips. There weren't that many left, but there were some. There was some grease at the bottom of the bag, but not too much for me. Essentially the amount of grease or oils you would expect for a typical bag of potato chips. At least for some brands. Those potato chips were enjoyable. There weren't that many left, but it was at least some handfuls. At least enough to fill a small bowl. It's currently 11:53 p.m. I colored in this cloud using these 2 Sharpie markers. First this one and then this one. I'm glad my computer mouse is currently working well after replacing the AA battery. I think I recall during the early to mid-evening hours, I wetted this computer mouse, lathered it in soap, and then rinsed it over a sink. And then dried it off using towels, but immediately, but I think some water still got through this seam. At one point it stopped working for a handful of minutes. So I temporarily started using the touchpad again. After some time, I lost the ability to click by tapping on the mouse pad. I mean, the trackpad. And so, thankfully, my computer mouse started working again. I have a feeling that the water may have damaged the battery somehow. Sometime after it started working again, each time I flip the switch like this, that orange light would briefly turn on and then turn off. So I asked my dad if he had a spare AA battery, and he had an unopened pack wrapped in plastic of 2 new AA batteries, and I replaced the AA battery, and as of now, the computer mouse works perfectly fine, which is good because ever since losing the ability to click by tapping on the trackpad on my laptop during the mid-evening hours, that hasn't come back as of now. On Idle Grindia Dungeon Quest, on my current skeleton run, I finally completed enough prestige challenges to unlock the tier 6 forge items.